Okay, FTB family, welcome back to another episode of Stick a Fork in It, your favorite podcast on all the platforms, obviously.
YouTube too.
And YouTube. That's every single
visual.
one. All your favorites.
Now you can see us.
Yeah, that's the best part. All these pretty faces. Hop into YouTube, subscribe, and see when our new
I'm not
stuff's
sure
coming out.
that's the best part.
Is that not the best part? I like it the most, but
I like the facial expression part because when you're listening to something and you can't see that somebody makes a crazy look.
yeah.
And is shockingly surprised. Now you'll see
Right.
it.
Yeah, gets you engage more senses. Next, we'll have smell. We'll add that to the show.
State of the art that we are.
One of these days. But one of the things we're talking about today is how we're kind of all from different generations here, which is interesting. We have if we were a family, we'd be a multi-generational family. But this show, it covers all the bases.
Are you saying I'm old?
Not at all.
I feel like that's what I said.
Where do you in the generational? Where do you live?
I was born in 1963, so technically I'm at the end of the boomer generation.
Right.
The greatest generation ever.
I think
No.
I think that's its own generation.
I don't think so.
No.
Isn't there a greatest generation? Oh, that's okay. Isn't the greatest generation like its own? Isn't that one of the
greatest generation is in fact its own generation.
yeah.
That's important to note that. So as soon as I said that, I thought, no, we're the best generation.
Okay,
But,
I'll give you that.
the greatest generation should be identified as that because they were.
Right.
Alrighty then.
And you are?
I'm Gen X.
You're not going to tell us you were born.
I'm a lady. I don't
Do
need
your
to
own
do
homework.
that.
Yeah.
Yes. There are ways you can find it, but you don't need to.
Okay, well,
No,
so,
I was actually born in 1967. I don't really care.
so you're born in the 60s as well.
Yes.
But you are an Xer.
Yes.
Okay. Which are really the folks that have been aimless, shiftless, and have done nothing to add to society, that generation.
Well, you know what? That's what happens when your parents leave you outside from dawn till dusk.
True.
Yes?
Drink out of the hose.
Well, yeah.
Yes, your summer
You know.
activities, that's what you're doing over
Yeah.
the summer?
Right.
Locked out.
Out of the house.
Yes,
sitting
we
on the
did not
wall.
have video games. We did not, right? We were told to go, as my father used to say, go run the stink off you.
Wow. Does that work?
I don't know the answer to that,
does
but
that- what
and I'm
does
not
it-
really sure how that
What does
works.
that mean?
That means leave. It means get out of the house.
Oh.
It means we don't want you around.
Okay.
Which was a thematic element of my childhood.
So
the
at
best
least we were
childhood.
given the hose for water. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we drank out of the hose. Yes. You drank out of the hose as well, yes.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know what bottled water was for a long time.
I was
Right?
probably an adult. Like
Yes.
out of the house. Like, oh, this is cool. Wow.
Right.
It tastes
It was
very
surprised to
clean.
me that
Tastes pretty
people had a
clean.
bottle of water. Yes, that was an unusual. Think about
Yeah.
an industry that came from absolutely nothing,
Yeah.
right? And
Right.
it's grown into all of us have water bottles. We have access, right?
Yes.
Today?
Right.
Yes.
Yep.
Water that was everywhere, and I can have it with you.
So
at all
speaking
times.
of differences in generations, here's a question for you guys. So our episode is going to air just before we go back to school. It's not too
Yep.
long before kids start to come back in. So as we think about generational differences, school outfits,
Oh yeah.
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 right? Like, what did you wear? What was your prize outfit? Like, what did you wear that was like the super cool thing? How did you go shopping for back to school? Like, how did that process work, Shannon, in your world?
Wasn't a cool process for me because a lot of the times I didn't go with my mom. She just went and bought whatever she wanted,
Oh.
which, you know, there are kids who don't have clothes, but it's a big thing when you're in school and to be able to kind of make your choices. And I really kind of didn't make my choices until I was older. So for me, it was like, ugh. And then you go to school and your things are just so mom picked out.
Yeah.
Right. And for a while I went to private school, so it wasn't that big
Did
of a
you
deal.
have to wear a uniform?
Right.
I did not. We only had to wear skirts because it was a Christian school and young ladies did not wear pants.
Okay.
I'm not
just
really
keep
sure what that
moving
has
on.
to do with Jesus. But
Not sure either. Yeah.
yes, but it's when you start getting into middle school, and middle school is when I went to public school, and your mom is dressing you. It gets really difficult, and it became like a fight. So that's really kind of how it felt for me until I could make my own choices.
How old were you guys when you first saw clothes as a part of your identity? Like a way in which you said, okay, this is how I want to. So this is not really your and my era. It may be Ev's era, but one of the examples that comes to mind very quickly is the Madonna era, right? And how folks really wanted to adopt her dress, the way she was, and desperately seeking Susan, like that whole,
Yes.
like,
Right.
like when did you start to say, okay, I have a sense of what I want to look like? For the viewer that will see this, Ev always rocks the cool headband.
Yes.
He's got the bun going. I mean, he has a definite
his,
look.
his headband has purpose.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But
But
he
he's
has a
growing his
definite-
hair out to some coolness.
But he definitely has a look. Like,
Yes.
at what age did you start to think, this is how I want to look?
It was middle school when I was fighting to make my own choices because of what others, and it's really interesting because I even had friends that felt bad for me and would let me use their clothes.
Oh, man.
So before I got on the bus, I would go to my neighbor's house and she would have an outfit picked out for me.
Do you think you always had a fashion sense? Like, when did you decide on black as the primary color in your world?
Still waiting for my fashion sense to develop, but I was...
Oh, you have a fashion sense.
Thank you.
do.
I appreciate
You have
that.
a vibe.
I do have a vibe, and I don't think I was able to develop that till high school because I was in uniforms when I was younger. I'm a millennial. I was born in '89, but I was in school with
1989?
uniforms. Yeah,
Oh, man.
just barely
there
made
were
it before
things.
the '90s. Yeah, right under the radar, but yeah. But it was it was interesting. Like the thing with the uniforms was that like a lot of kids didn't have clothes that like they liked, or they would get picked on, and so that was a big reason for the uniforms in schools.
Yeah, it does allow, right? It takes away that sense of identity, which is negative, but it equalizes everybody, which can be positive, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
But it didn't allow you to say, well, this is my style,
No,
and this is
you could be blue
who I
or
am.
green or beige, and that was your personality.
Yeah, and then we've gone through waves of styles over I lived in New York City for close to 10 years. I don't think I wore anything but a black Gap t-shirt.
Wow.
Casually.
Okay.
Right? Because
Everybody wore Gap.
well, everybody wore black in New York.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You don't want to have, it's not the place for color.
You're a tourist if you're wearing color.
Yes.
Oh, man.
And you're looking up all the time.
Oh
But
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
we all know that clothing is a significant and important part of
is.
who we are and how we identify and define ourselves.
And access to that. So I'm actually really excited. We have a wonderful young woman joining us that I've known for a really long time. Jennifer, welcome to Stick a Fork in It. Although folks have heard you just a snippet.
Just a snip. I can finally talk. Yay!
Welcome to the show officially. Yeah.
I noticed you've been struggling over there.
I have been struggling.
And what is your role? What does it have to do with clothes? Because that's what we've been talking about a little bit.
So I am the executive director at Close to Kids.
Okay. And how long have you been doing that?
So I've been the executive director. July will be 6 years, and been at Close to Kids. December will be 14 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. So we were talking about generational stuff. What do you think about that conversation we started with?
Well, I am actually on the cusp of, I would consider myself a Gen X, but the next one after Gen X is millennial. So I'm technically where yes, go team, yes, us, Ev, for sure. But I probably identify more with the Gen Xers.
Right.
I still balance a checkbook.
Yeah.
So, but I
Is
have
that the definition of a...
One of them.
It says it in
One
the
of
dictionary.
them.
Yep.
If you still have a checkbook.
yes.
No.
Which I gave up. Thank you very much.
I definitely
but
have one.
Yeah.
You have one too?
Wow.
That I handwrite in every single time? Yes.
Why did I even say that? This is the man who prints out everything. But yeah, never mind.
As
Moving
do I.
right
fair.
along.
It's okay. Then apparently I'm a baby boomer too.
Right. Yeah. Spanning your generations.
I was thinking about the questions that you just asked Shannon and Ev about what was that defining moment of when, and I know what it was. I immediately knew. It was the day that I discovered all of the girls were wearing Daisy Duke shorts.
Oh.
And I remember my great-grandmother telling me that I would not leave her house in those Daisy Duke shorts. So my aunt and great-grandmother made me some Daisy Duke shorts like all of the other girls.
Can you, for the listener, and you need to keep it on the right side of clean, can you, for the listener, help folks understand what a Daisy Duke short is?
Sure. So the Daisy Duke shorts were blue jean, and they had like a little ribbon down on the edge of the denim. And they were Daisy Dukes, but they looked more like uniform shorts when my grandmother and my aunt got finished making them for me. So when I went proudly back to school with my quote unquote Daisy Dukes on, I remember not having what everybody else had.
Right. Right.
Because mine were handmade and they were going to be long enough to be school appropriate.
Right. And typically a Daisy Duke
Is not.
is a cutoff that covers the essentials. We'll go there.
We'll go there.
And that's
Yes.
about it.
That's about it. Mhm.
Yeah.
But I remember that.
Yeah.
So,
Why?
Do you remember how you felt when you walked in?
oh yeah, I thought that I was going to fit right in because I had my new shorts and, they had the little ruffle and the cute little fabric on them. And I remember feeling like, wow, these are not what all the other girls have on because it was middle school and middle school's rough.
I had an experience very similar to that because, again, I didn't really have the fashion sense, and it was my first day in high school, and I sat next to this guy, and he looked at me and he goes, "You're new here."
Wow.
Because it was basically the way I was dressed. He's my best friend still today. He kind of was like, "Okay, you need to just calm it down a little bit." And Matt, and I have a Matt because of Matt. But yeah, I think we've all had those moments. Haven't you had that kind of moment, Thomas, in your life where you're like, wow, I don't fit in?
Yeah, I think, and I think clothes are probably in many ways for me, still today, clothes are an outward expression of your inward view of yourself.
Correct.
Right. And so, yes, I think as a kid that struggled with identity at different times in my life, it's certainly something that I noticed and cared about. I always liked and cared about fashion. It always mattered to me how I looked. But the point that you brought up earlier, which I think is true for a lot of us, is I didn't always have the resources to be able to be what I thought I wanted to be.
Right.
And, that always led to challenges in esteem.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about Clothes to Kids.
So Clothes to Kids provides a week's worth of school clothes to low-income or in crisis school-age children free of charge in a store setting. So we have 3 stores throughout greater Tampa Bay, one in Tampa, one in Clearwater, and one in St. Pete. And kids who qualify are able to come into our store and select a week's worth of school clothes to include a pair of shoes, 5 new pairs of socks, 5 new pairs of underwear, 4 bottoms, 5 tops, a dress, and a jacket in season, and then fun accessories as we have those available. So kids get to come in, they get to pick what they like, what they feel best expresses them on the outside, and also, whether it's the Daisy Dukes or the Black Gap shirt or whatever the headband, it's a way for them to really shop for what they want.
So to get to know a little bit more about you, right? Were you from here?
I am not from Tampa Bay. I am from the Big Bend.
Okay.
So a little town right outside of Tallahassee called Perry, Florida.
Oh, I know Perry. That's when you're almost there when you're visiting your kids at Florida State.
That's right. You have to go through Perry to go through to get to Tallahassee for sure.
We're almost there. So you've been in the nonprofit space for a really long time.
My entire career.
What influenced you to make that decision?
A professor.
Tell us.
From FSU. So I got my degree in it was residential science, and thought that I wanted to.
Wait, there's a degree called residential science. I'm sorry. I got to ask, what is that?
Right. So we were one of the 3 schools in the nation to provide or to be offered a residential science degree, and there were 3 areas of focus that you could do, which was interior specifications, where you would work with a builder and do like the trim and the paints and the not necessarily interior design, but similar. And then there were 2 other areas where one was do nonprofit government, so think Habitat for Humanity, different housing nonprofits, or working with government entities like urban and regional planning with HUD or those types of
somebody in the marketing
areas.
department needs to change the name of that because it's a really cool degree, but the worst name ever for
Yes.
Right. And so I did my internship with one of the largest REITs in the United States at that time.
Real Estate Investment Trust.
Okay, yeah,
Exactly, Real Estate
I was going to let
Investment
it fly. I was
Trust.
like, sure.
And it was one of the largest in the state of Alabama at that time. And I called my professor and I said, I can't do this. Like, I've gone to school, I've put myself through school, and I can't be responsible for collecting people's rent. Like I just can't do this. And she says, well, have you thought about looking into nonprofit? And I said, oh my gosh, what are you thinking? I mean, my husband's in graduate school. I don't know anybody in this new town. I'm like, what? Like, no. So that led me to going straight to Habitat for Humanity and knocked on the door. They didn't have any jobs open. And I said, well, you need me and I need you, and I'll do whatever you need me to do. And 2 weeks later, their development coordinator went to go and work for a congressman, and they took a chance on me, and the rest is history.
How long were you with Habitat?
I was with Habitat for almost 3 years.
Okay.
Before my husband moved us back to Florida.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was that coming to Tampa?
That was coming to Tampa.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that professor, what's his name?
It was a female, and
her
her name
name?
was Claudia Freeze.
So
An
Claudia
influencer.
Freeze
Yeah,
is
an
responsible for
influencer
your
along
turn.
the way.
Yes. Yeah.
So tell us a bit more about you told us some about your mission, but how's the organization founded? Why was it founded? What's kind of the origin story of Clothes for Kids?
So Clothes to Kids was founded on by two co-founders, Jody and Marie Bouchard McClung. And Marie's sister called her one Chris morning and said, I have a little girl that can't go to PE class and she needs a jacket. And so the story is that Marie said to her sister Terry, give me a couple of hours and let me see what I can do. And so she went to the store and she found a purple coat, purple jacket, and 2 turtlenecks. And I said, Marie, I can't keep telling people that it was turtlenecks. Nobody wears turtlenecks anymore, but we can't forget about the turtlenecks. And so she hands this little girl, gets this jacket on the little girl and hands the jacket to the little girl and she was hoping to be the blessing that day, but in return, it was her who got the blessing. And she was talking to Jody a couple of months later, and Jody, who was a teacher as well, said, oh yeah, I see it all the time. Had, girls that weren't able to sit down for circle time because they didn't have on any underwear. And it was constantly something that she was seeing. And they said, well, let's do something about it. And so at Jody's kitchen table, they decided to start collecting clothes. And the story is that they collected, and their husband said, we can't park our cars in the garage anymore. It's time to get these clothes out of the garage and somewhere else. And so we opened up our first store in Dunedin in 2002. We quickly outgrew that. And within 2 years, we opened up our flagship store that's off of Hercules in Clearwater. And more than 224,000 wardrobes later.
Wow.
Here we are.
Wow.
Holy cow. 224.
So describe a wardrobe to us. I think you described it earlier in how much a child can select. Is that what you consider a wardrobe?
That is a weekly wardrobe, and that is such a great question because that's 22 pieces of clothing.
Okay.
So that's a pair of shoes, 5 new pairs of socks, 5 new pairs of underwear, 4 bottoms, 5 tops. A dress is optional, a jacket is in season, and fun accessories for people like Ed who want a cool headband.
Must have.
There we go.
That's definitely accessorized.
Soon the school bell will ring and some classrooms will be filled with kids who lack one important thing: nutritious meals at home.
We know hunger directly affects their ability to learn and grow.
That's why we're working with Feeding Tampa Bay to give them and others in the community access to nutritious food.
You can donate right now at abcactionnews.com/food or drop off non-perishable items at the 4 DFCU locations listed online.
Together, let's pack the pantries.
So I think the question that would come to mind most is how do you find clothes? What's the process of locating clothes? How does that work?
Our community. We know that the clothes are out there. We just have to ask for them.
So these are used clothes that you're gently used, I think, as we would always want them to be. So
Correct.
they are available and still perfectly usable and good.
They just need more love. That's what we want clothes that are still wearable, that are not ripped, stained, soiled, nothing offensive. And we get those from the community. The only things that we purchase are new socks and new underwear, and then clothes that are in short demand as well.
So what is the age right? So, you talk about donating, but for instance, I could donate because maybe for my size, a teenager would wear some of my clothes.
Well, here's my favorite line, and my team will tell you, kids come in all shapes and sizes, and our clothes have to as well. So yes, we will take everybody's clothes that are sitting at this table because kids come in all shapes and sizes.
Yeah.
So we serve pre-K 4 all the way through 12th grade.
Okay.
So size
I'm
4.
making a bag for you.
12th grade is when you graduate high school, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. For those of us that struggled with that.
Yeah.
I was going to say,
When
what?
Some people graduate then.
Yes, that's typically when you do.
That's when the expectation
When
is.
most,
Right.
right. got it.
Yes.
Okay.
Got it.
Yes.
So, please.
Nope, go ahead.
So you obviously locate clothing. You said you operate 3 different stores. How do you find the money to do what you do?
So how we find the money to do what we do is also through our community. And we work with places of worship, individuals, family foundations, and ask to have support because for our cost to provide that week's worth of school clothes to children is free for the shopper.
Really important to
Right.
note, right? For the
Right.
community to understand that. yeah.
Absolutely. It's free for them to get those 22
Yes.
pieces of item or 22 pieces of clothing in our store. It's free. But our cost at Clothes to Kids to provide that week's worth of school clothes is $65 per child. And we get that number by calculating how much a pair of shoes, on average, how much is a pair of shoes, how much is a pair of underwear, how much a pair of socks.
Right.
And so we get to that number based on those 22 pieces and calculating that total.
Wow.
So you talked about the output of 22 pieces of clothing, and I think it's really helpful for a listener to understand the dollar value that you're putting into a home, which is significant. So in our world, we would call that the output, right? The output is clothing. What is the desired outcome for your organization? What's the desired outcome for a child that has access to clothing? What do you all say this is what we want to have happen?
We want kids to come into our stores and select what represents them. And then when they take that bag that's brimming full of clothes that they've shopped for and they take it home, we want them to be able to lay out their clothes and look forward to their next day at school of, I picked that out. My favorite color is black, and I can see that that shirt says Gap. Or it's the, hey, my friend Matt's telling me to tone it down because I'm all colored out, or whatever it is. And you've picked it out and you've selected it and you feel confident. And so you can go to school the next day and be confident, ready to learn.
Yeah.
That's the output.
And the dignity to be able to choose.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, it's also childhood trauma. We know that childhood traumas surround, some it's intentional, but folks bully and they make fun of kids, and they don't have the right shoes or the right. They may wear it a few days in a row. I mean, it's really can be damaging to a human to start their life like that.
Absolutely. I mean, here I am. We just discovered I don't have a problem to telling you what year I was born. I was born in 1982, and
But Shannon that was problematic for her.
it was. It absolutely was. I'm pretty confident in the year that I was born.
Some on the show less so. Yeah.
Right. But I'll be 43 this year, and I still remember going to school and not having on the quote unquote right Daisy Dukes,
Right.
and I'm still thinking about it.
Yeah.
And I'm fine. I'm confident.
Right.
But clothes matter.
Yeah.
And they help showcase who you are.
Right.
And when you've got on the latest kicks, whether they're LeBrons or Kobe's or high dunk, or my sons would be so upset.
Yeah, you
that
got
I was
you
none
don't
of
have
the
the names.
You got none of that right.
I didn't.
Yeah. So when your
I
sons
didn't.
listen to this, they're
You know
gonna go.
what? I may not let them hear it because I was about to say high dunks, and that would
Yeah,
have just been
I'd wear some high
problematic.
There's also no Kobe's or LeBrons, but we'll just keep moving.
Yeah, there are.
Yes, there are.
Oh,
Yes, there
He's
are.
showing his boomer side.
Yes,
This is where
there
he doesn't
are
know what's
Kobe's.
cool.
There are LeBrons.
We could debate this
Okay,
later.
well, but I'm right.
Right.
Yeah.
There's
There might be
Samba-
Nike Kobe's, but
But they are
That's That's where you're
definitely
getting-
there's
yeah.
Jordans,
Yeah.
there's Air
That
Force
there is.
Ones.
The
Yes.
Jordan is the sole exception
I
that
mean, I'm
they're
here-
referred to right as.
Those are the Jordans.
Those are Jordans.
Yeah, but there's dunks and then there's high tops and trust me, I know more about shoes and I know more about underwear and you have no idea.
Yeah.
Let's talk about underwear. No.
Okay, you want to talk about
I do not.
underwear?
I do not want to
well,
talk about
you know
underwear.
what? Hey, a lot of people don't want to
LeBrons,
talk about
right.
underwear, but I have to.
Let me
Tell,
ask.
tell us real quick about you have a program coming up.
We do.
You
do you know what
Yeah.
it's called?
Yep.
It's called Drop Off Your Drawers.
Why'd you put the off in there?
Because we want people to.
That was quick.
That
Right,
was quick.
right.
That was quick because we want people to drop off new
Right.
packages of
Yeah.
underwear.
Right.
Because you know what? This year we will provide 82,000 pairs of underwear to children in Greater Tampa Bay.
So, a story to share with you personally. So, the way in which I got into the nonprofit world was I was kind of thinking about what I wanted to do, and I was helping out a couple of organizations. And a friend of mine had started with a brand new charity. It was called Dignity You Wear. And it was started in Jacksonville, Florida by a philanthropist, a guy named Henry Landworth, who, if you're a listener, Henry was one of the seminal figures in the charitable world here in Florida. But Henry had gone to the Sulzbacher Center, which was a homeless shelter in Jacksonville, and Henry had means. And so whenever a new donor came to town, right, folks wanted to get him to donate financially. And so he said, I'm not going to give you money. This was Henry. He said, but I would like to understand more about what you're doing. And so he asked to meet with a bunch of folks who were either homeless, transitionally housed, or right. And so he met with all of them and he said, what do you need? And they said, socks and underwear.
Yeah.
Right? Because we can't get those donated. Again, for the listener, it's a matter of sanitary conditions, right? You
Correct.
cannot donate those particular products, which still I reminded of today that such a fundamental issue of our own sense of cleanliness and dignity is the idea of having appropriate undergarments.
Correct.
You know, women often talk about access to bras, right? And so, when you talk about, and let's come back to where you were, when you talk about the idea of having basic undergarments as a fundamental issue of sanitary care, but it's also a significant issue of self-esteem and self-regard.
Correct. And that isn't something that any kid in Greater Tampa Bay should go without.
Right.
Just isn't.
Do you have a few impact stories, like a few families that have come into your world that have touched your heart so?
Well, coincidentally, one happened quite recently. So, as a part of the wardrobe, kids are allowed to try on shoes. Well, we had this pair of cowboy boots. And they were exactly what you think. They were cowboy boots, but they had a beautiful turquoise coloring on them. And they were, I'm pretty sure that they were girl cowboy boots. But this young boy grabbed them and he put them on and he starts walking around the store and he's got his hands in his belt loops. And he's walking around like a cowboy. And if you've heard the Beyonce song, This Ain't Texas, well, he starts...
You gave him a theme song?
No, he gave himself a theme song. And don't tell me that the shoes or the underwear or the headband doesn't make the person, because he put on those boots and boy, did he think he was going somewhere. And it's not Texas, but he sure thought he was in Texas
love
singing
it.
that song around the store.
Oh,
This
stop.
ain't Texas. And just walking around. And, we had to encourage him to get a pair of shoes that fit him.
Well, yeah.
Because those were not school appropriate because they didn't fit him. Now,
Right.
had they have been his size, he'd have walked out with those turquoise
Yes.
boots on. But he left with a pair of Nike light up shoes. So they were light up. They were light up. So there's all different kinds. I'm not letting
I
you
think
get
we
by.
need an adult version of light up shoes.
Yes.
You know, they
Heelys.
exist.
They exist.
Do
They
they
do
really?
Yes.
exist.
Oh, man.
And I'm really bummed that we were going to focus so much on shoes because I would have brought you a pair of light up shoes.
What do you think of these?
Wow. So I
I
would
don't
like
know
to,
if light up shoes come in. What size?
Size 14s? No, not often.
so is that your size, 14? So I just want you to know that now that you know of a place to donate your gently used clothing and shoes, kids come in all shapes and sizes, and you've just shared with me and shown me a pair of really nice shoes that are in very good condition, size 14.
There's a kid that'll come in.
So you've just walked.
All right.
You get it? You just walked yourself into that one.
Are we moving towards the end of the podcast?
Before you give away more of your clothes.
Right. And I do want it to be known that we
some young
started
men will
the
love 'em.
podcast off with talking about that we were glad that he had on pants, and so glad that
I
he
feel
didn't wear a
somewhat
Speedo.
disrobed during this.
Yeah.
So the wonderful thing is that your Close to Kids is now at Feeding Tampa Bay.
It
and we
is.
partner together. You know, we have so many families that come in through our doors to access food and resources. And one of those wonderful resources is Close to Kids. And I actually have heard from our team that there's a grandmother in a generational home that when she was asked, she's raising a generational home, my apologies. And she was asked what was the best part of her day, and it was Close to Kids because all her grandbabies got new clothes.
You know, what we have in common with you is the same idea that every human being deserves the right to have a dignified life.
Yeah.
That's right.
You know, to make choices. We know when someone goes into the community market and they select the food that's important to them, it's a matter of, sure, what tastes good and things of that nature, but it's also a matter of cultural heritage. It's a matter of familial connection. It's a binding element to how you view yourself. And as we listen to you and think about your mission, it's so similar that that's what you're trying to do, is make sure that kids establish an identity, have a sense of dignity, and can clothe themselves in a way that's consistent with who they are.
Well, we talk very often, you know, like I asked who influenced you. You know, how many of those families, the families and the kids that come to us that we've influenced that they're going to be okay. And sometimes it takes that, but you're doing the same thing, right? You're building confidence. They have the right to choose. You know, it's just, they're going to be like everyone else on the first day of school, putting those clothes out on the bed.
Correct.
Right? So it's just so important that we do that. So I encourage our viewers and our listeners to go through your stuff. I'm going through my stuff. I'm going to get it to you.
Great.
Right?
So we have an event coming up.
We do. I'm so excited about this event. Back to school event, July 31st, downstairs in our neighborhood. We know Miss Jennifer's team is going to be there.
We are. We can't wait.
We have so many things. We have food. We're going to have backpacks. We're going to have school supplies. We have Baycare's medical team is going to be here as well. And then we have our navigators and our partners that are going to be able to talk to anybody who comes in that needs help. And, you know, we're going to have commercials. You can go to our social pages.
That's right.
Make sure you get that information. But we want to thank you for coming into our world. I've known you for a long time and known what you do, but now our world's together.
Our worlds are together.
And I can't be more thrilled and proud.
Yeah, we're
back at
grateful. We're grateful for your partnership. I think our services are different, but as I said, our values align, and we're appreciative of you being here. So you know we have a couple of questions that we want to ask you. And so one of the things we like to, that's a common element of all of our guests on the show, is to ask them a couple of questions. And so we ask everybody so we're going to use our world. If you're going to sit down and have a meal with 3 people at a table, just like we're sitting at today, who would you want around your table and why? They could be living, they could be someone you know, someone you don't know, but who are 3 people that you would like to have a meal with?
The first person that popped in my mind was Celine Dion. And I think it's because she has such a way about her voice to connect people and equally touch people in a way that music tends to do. So Celine Dion.
Nice.
Barack Obama.
Okay.
Barack Obama, I'm actually about to start reading a book that I've been told by several people that I need to read, and I am going to say that I'm not a reader, but I'm getting better at reading. And apparently Barack Obama gave this book a glowing review, so that would probably be part of the discussion at the dinner table, is the book Educated. So I want to start reading that book. So we would talk about that with Barack. And this one might bring out some, I don't know who I would say, but maybe someone from my family. You know what? I actually would have to say probably my great-grandmother. She grew up during the Depression. And I remember her telling me back when I would stay with her, because my mother worked, as I was telling Shannon and Ev earlier. And so I spent a lot of summer afternoons with my grandmother and great-grandmother, and she used to get on me. I hear those bare feet running through this house, and if you don't go put on some socks, you're going to be in trouble and you're going to catch a cold. And it must be because she grew up in a time period where things were scarce.
Hard to come by. Yeah.
Hard to come by.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking she would make me, back when, butter still comes in the plastic containers, but she would keep the plastic containers. And I used to think, why are we keeping this? And canned food and all of these things. And I would really like to just get her opinion on about so many things that are happening in the world today, and for her to see how much we've accomplished.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's always that thing of you would like for folks, particularly those that raised you, to know who you became.
Correct.
That their influence was generational. One last question. You serve a meal to your guests. What would you choose as the meal?
Oh, that's an easy one. You ready?
Yes.
It'd be real good Southern comfort food. And you name it, it would be there.
Would your great-grandmother be cooking it?
She would.
Nice.
Yes. Lima beans with a ham hock, potato salad 2 to 3 ways.
The only way to eat lima beans is one at a time, and you wash it back with milk like a pill.
You know what? That's not true.
That's the only way I ever got up from the dinner table.
I mean, and I'm talking, collard greens and mustard greens and homemade biscuits and ham and, that's what it would be. It would be Southern comfort food, what I wouldn't do for one of those meals.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
It's your dinner table. They're your guests, and it's your meal, and we are so grateful for your time. Thank you for coming and spending some of it with us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And don't forget, July 31st, back to school event.
Back to school, we're ready.
Yep.
Yeah, bring the kids
And then
through.
I'm going to be giving you clothes then, too.
Yes. And Thomas, too.
Yeah.
You'll see his clothes there. His shoes should be on the front table.
They should be. They should be. Yes. Because kids come in all shapes and sizes. Well, I mean, I'm looking at these red leather ones that are under the table.
Those are pretty tasty. Those
They
are
are.
some nice boots.
Yes. Thomas is a shoe guy.
Right.
Ah.
For sure.
So I think every episode, every guest we have on, I feel like we learn so much, and I think today there were a lot of takeaways that I'm sure people weren't aware of or didn't think about. Clothes are something I think we could kind of take for granted a lot of times. What are some things that maybe stuck out to you guys today of an epiphany or something you think is really important for our listeners to take away from today?
Well, I have to say, we started out talking about generations and how they're different. You're raised different, you're born in different times, but it kind of wrapped around to the need to have a version of what everyone else has to feel part of something when you're a kid, right? And specifically, we're talking about clothes, and those who don't have them, and how we need to do what we can and what we need to do to get them to them. And I know, on social, the big thing is Gen X. You guys have to Google Gen X on TikTok because it's ridiculous how funny. But there are students who gather and buy real expensive tennis shoes for kids. And there's wonderful organizations like Clothes for Kids. And, people do care. And that gives me hope that these kids are going to start their year after our back to school event with what they need and feeling confident.
Yeah.
I thought there's a lot about it. It's easy to say when you look at the amount of 22 pieces of clothes, $65 in retail value, 224,000 outfits provided or clothing options provided, all staggering. But the thing that stuck out to me most was the description of being able to lay your clothes out the night before for school, and that is a positive in your life and something that helps you feel better about who you are. That image to me just really landed hard, and it's just one of those things that when you hear that, you think, I want to make sure every kid has that opportunity.
Yes.
I think we all remember doing that. For sure.
You're excited. You want to be excited. You're going to see your friends. You're going to be equal to them because somebody helped you. So
What'd
I think
you
we
learn?
learned great stuff.
Man, that some kids wear size 14 shoes. No, I think the biggest takeaway for me was like, we think a lot about donating clothes, but I think that what you were saying about the socks and underwear is like a big thing, because that is something that if you think about trying to go a few days without that, you're like, wow, okay, that would suck. So like you can't just go in and pick that up somewhere. Someone has to thoughtfully go ahead and make sure that's available. So I hope that's something that sticks for folks. Yeah.
Another great guest.
Yes. We did it again, fellas.